Music can bring back memories, it can evoke strong emotions, but music has also been at the heart of controversies over the years. Politicians and religious leaders offended by lyrics have called for boycotts and, in some cases, outright bans. Elvis, the Beatles, and gangster rappers have all been under the microscope in the past. More recently, though, drill music has emerged as a target of criticism. When New York Mayor Eric Adams called for a drill music ban, our first guest, rapper and filmmaker Jordan Coleman, came to the defense of the genre, even though Coleman is the mayor's own son.
Jordan Coleman seems to be the very definition of a Renaissance man. You can find him giving TED Talks.
But I feel step one should always be to accept your failures as a learning experience instead of a measurement of your progression.
Hosting podcasts.
I was missing like rec sports to go to work, to go clock in.
Writing and directing films. But he's also a rapper, known on stage as J.O. This all-around performer began his sojourn in entertainment as a child. He's captured audiences on stages from his native New York to as far away as Albania.
Jordan, I got to MC the CGCC gala, and the first person I got to introduce was you. And it's so fun to stand backstage and watch you walk on stage and just basically grab this audience and just the energy on your face. And can you talk to me about what it's like to go on stage and perform, and do you derive energy from the crowd? Can you tell when they're into it? I mean, talk to me about the whole experience.
Yeah, I think that every time is brand new and it's a little bit different. But I started off as a voice actor, and I did speaking engagements when I was younger. So I get a little bit comfortable when I'm on stage. But when you get on stage the first time, you try to read the room, and when they're not answering you at first, it kind of is a little like nerve-wracking. But you have to just remember your game plan, and you have to remember what you're on stage for. You know, they don't know who you are necessarily, and you're here to entertain. So you have to bring the entertainment to them and make them open up. And so I think that's a challenge that I find myself in each time, and I accept the challenge. And I try to just make people feel comfortable in the room and understand that I'm here, you know, for a good time and to show off my talents and my skills.
Butterflies at all before you go on stage?
Definitely.
Really?
Really? Yeah, big time.
Because you don't show it.
Big time. I try not to show it, but at the same time, I'm really conscious of like what I'm saying and how I'm speaking. When I was younger, I didn't enunciate enough, so that's something that's in the back of my head. So it's always like little things like that that make sure that, okay, I'm crossing my T's and dotting my I's on the stage.
What's the feeling like when you hit it and you walk off a stage?
Oof. I mean, I'm big on sports, so it's kind of like, you know, you're hitting the three-pointer and you just walk away, you know, you don't even watch it go in, but everybody's screaming and shouting, and it's one of those feelings where it's like you put the preparation in and you know that you have something good, and you kind of like listen back to it by yourself and you're like, yo, this is pretty good. And then you see everyone else's reaction once you do it in public, and you're like, all right, I knew what I was talking about back in that room when I was just listening to it by myself, or I was just practicing by myself, and it's rewarding. It really is rewarding, and yeah, I enjoy it.
A lifelong sports fan, as a child, Jordan began making films on some of his favorite basketball stars. That brought him face to face with heroes like Kobe Bryant. Bryant's words of wisdom fueled his desire to reach his goals at an early age.
Before we started rolling, you were talking to me about being a life athlete,
Sure.
about basketball.
Yeah.
And that combination of, I mean, talk to us about the rhythms and how that kind of influences you.
Definitely. Well, I played plenty of sports: football, baseball, soccer. In college, I played rugby, and I found through all the sports, there's different aspects of life that I found into it, whether it's perseverance, whether it's practice, you know. And I realized that I'm considered a life athlete, and I consider myself a life athlete because I want to be the best person I could be in life, and I want to be able to attack my goals the right way. And so you find different things in life, whether it's for me with music, I'm dribbling the basketball, I'm hearing the rhythms of the basketball, and I'm finding different flows to make music. Or whether someone's lifting weights and they're hearing the clanks of the weights, and they're a beat producer and they make different, you know, beats off the rhythms of that sound. And so you find different things in life that resonate and relate to to sports, and then you build your team, you find the goals of the trophies that you want to chase, and you create a game plan and you just move forward with it. You have your season. Each season, either a winning season or a losing season, and you try to make the most of it, for sure.
And discipline's such a big part of sports, and
Absolutely.
I guess you need it as an artist too, don't you?
For sure, for sure. I mean, some artists don't really have that much discipline, but yes, discipline is definitely needed. Whichever amount you want to use.
Discipline was a need in his extremely busy childhood. That regimented approach is still evident as Jordan has become a master of multitasking, and it's been the subject of his TED Talks and podcasts.
So Jordan, you mentioned the TED Talk and the road to success, but
Yes.
part of the road to success is failure. I mean, everybody
Absolutely.
fails along the way.
Yep.
What do you learn from that? What was your greatest failure, and how does that fuel who you are today?
I think learning lessons definitely come from failures, and I would say that I've had quite a bit of my fair share of learning lessons. I would definitely say that when I was younger, I would say 2016, I wasn't really prepared for a whole presentation in Universal Pictures. I was an intern there, and I kind of like stumbled on my words, and I kind of just like let out like a little shriek after. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was one of those situations, and I felt like I was on a basketball court. I felt like, I messed up in the sports world, and that was unprofessional of me. And I realized after the fact that I need to keep my composure, and I need to be able to step into a room, and even when I mess up, I have to be able to keep going and continue, because you're not going to always do things perfectly. And I think that was like one of the biggest things that I learned, because everything's not going to go the way that you want it to. So I definitely know that learning lessons come in life, and that people are going to fail quite often. And I fail quite often. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to fail moving forward too. But at the same time, I'm going to get back up and try it again.
Do you find more joy out of one thing rather than another? I mean, performing, writing the songs, making films. I mean, you're such a you're kind of a Renaissance man. You don't kind of like, you're not siloed in one particular. Is it one that gives you more joy?
It's tough because I enjoy writing a lot. I enjoy writing music, I enjoy writing scripts, but performing on stage and seeing people rock out to your music, it's no feeling like that. I mean, especially when I was in Albania and they barely knew the words, but they were feeling the energy and they're feeling the vibe, and I think that was like a really rich feeling for me as far as my confidence booster. But I enjoy it all. I enjoy sitting, listening to beats and figuring out how I'm gonna make a song. I enjoy crafting a script from the beginning and doing a storyboard. So I think that because I'm so versed in all these different mediums, I feel that each piece of it is refreshing. And so when I get tired of one, I could go to the next one and I could just pick up where I left off with my excitement. Whether I run out of ideas like rapping, I can go into the screenwriting world and create a screenplay or create a short film. Or if I run ideas for my screenplays, I can listen to beats and try to figure out a song concept and move forward. So I think it helps out my writer's block as well. I try to stay away from writer's block. I try to read as much as I can. And the great artists, they tell me that I have to stay away from writer's block and to find different things in life to experience. And so with me being a two-way artist, I have a lot of experiences.
Jordan's creative drive pushed him to record original music, first for films and then as a performer.
Rap, poetry, the spoken word. When did you know that this was something that you just loved, that was going to be a part of who you are?
I think that's a funny story because I started off, in the film world. I started off as a voice actor for a cartoon, and the cartoon was known for their music. So it was funny because I wasn't singing. They had someone else singing, and I did speaking lines because I couldn't sing. And as I started to get older and I started to work more and more in my career, I started to go into films, and with my films, I would create the theme song for the films, and I would enjoy it so much. But my mom, who was a reporter for the Daily News, she's like, "You're not a rapper, you're a filmmaker. Like, focus on the film part. Yeah, this is cool and all, but like, you're here to write scripts." So that film went past, and I'm interviewing these different rappers and celebrities, and the gist of the film is to show why school is important. And so with me learning these different words and learning and extending my vocabulary, I'm able to put these words into conversation and into writing where they start to rhyme. I'm like, okay, if this word's rhyming with this, I can continue to keep it going. and I can make a whole song out of it. And so with my second film, I made the theme song for that as well. And once again, I heard from my mom, you're not a rapper. But it was just one of those things that was in the back of my head, like, Mom, maybe I could be like Ice Cube and be, you know, one of these iconic hip hop artists and then go into the film space. Or I could be like Drake and start off in TV and then transition and have, like, you know, a hip hop run, because I'm able to speak and resonate and relate with different people. And so it was definitely a challenging road. I think my dad was more accepting of it at first, because he was really impressed how I was able to remember all these lines. He's like, how do you remember all these rap lines? And I tell him that I see a picture in my head and I'm just describing the picture that I see. And he was just like, yeah, this is something for you, you know? And my mom was just fighting it for a bit because she was a writer. And she just knew that I had a talent, but she didn't want me to waste my talent. And I thank her for it, because it made me a bit more sharper. It made me have to, you know, be that much better so that I get mama's approval, for sure.
Jordan is also quite principled, and as a result, he found himself at odds with his own father. When New York Mayor Eric Adams called for a ban on drill rap because he was unhappy with some of the often suggestive and aggressive themes within the music, it was Jordan who took center stage in the press to oppose the ban.
You mentioned your dad, who happens to be somebody, some people may know who he is. He's
I
the
think
mayor
so.
of New York City, the
How about
largest
it?
city here in the United States. He also came out and this is an area you've talked about considerably, drill rap. He came out critical of it. You were like, no, Dad. Like, first of all, for people who don't know what drill rap is, can you explain it to us?
Yeah. Drill rap is a subgenre of hip hop music, and it's pretty big in Chicago. It's pretty big in the UK, and it's big now in New York City. And I think that was a very interesting moment in the father-son, mayor, first-son situation, because I felt like I was just talking to my dad. You know, this drill artist named Pop Smoke, he just passed away. And my dad was asking questions in a sense like, who is Pop Smoke? And, you know, as a son, I was like, this is Pop Smoke, and I'm showing him videos. And then he kind of put like his police hat on. He was like, okay, this is unacceptable. Like, this is what we're promoting. I'm like, Dad, like, you know, it's just a song. And then, you know, a couple weeks go by and you hear about his stance on drill music. And then it's quite interesting because, you know, he has a very important job to keep the city safe. And, you know, I have a very important job of making my eardrums happy. So it's kind of a balance between the two. Like, look, Dad, I know you're trying to keep the city safe, but you can't ban drill music. Like, that's something, you can't ban any music. People are gonna make music regardless. And so we kind of, not really clashed heads, but we had a disagreement, or we had a conversation in a sense where I explained how genre music cannot be banned. And he explained to me that in these songs, people are bragging about things that he's trying to prevent. And so there has to be a meeting ground. And I think that he's awesome because he held a town hall meeting. He was like, look, let's get everyone in the room and let's talk about it. Let's figure out what we like, let's figure out what we don't like, and let's figure out what we can move forward with. And I commend him for that, definitely. And it opened up my eyes in the sense of like, look, he's trying. You know, he's one of these people who grew up in this area, who understands that there's trends and waves in music, and he wants to be a part of the people, but he wants the people to be safe as well. And
So what were they bragging about that really kind of got
you know, it was more or less like the robbing and the killing, and it's like if you have someone's cousin or someone's little brother or someone's big brother, and you're hearing that, you know, this person who just recently passed away, you're at their funeral, you're hearing them on the songs and things of that nature, it makes you want to retaliate, you know, and then it becomes like a constant cycle. And then now we're just making songs about violence instead of making songs that, whether it's storytelling about you going to the store and getting a discount at 7-Eleven, or you getting a B- on your science project and you wish you got an A. And it's like, there's more to life. No pun intended, but there is more to life than just violence and death. But I think that, you know, drill rappers specifically have a challenge in themselves to extend their vocabulary and to create music where it's following that tempo, it's following the style, but it's more colorful in the sense of it's expanding people's vision when they listen to their music. And I'll give you a prime example. When you're watching action movies, James Bond is a nice classic dude. he's still blowing people's heads off. He's still taking people out, throwing them off the cliff, and it still shows violence. But the way that he does it and the style of what he does it is very elegant, and you want to continue to watch him. And so I think drill rappers have to tap into more of like the action movie and more or less like, hopefully this isn't real, but this is a story that I'm telling, and to just fall in love with this 3-minute film, 3-minute song, instead of thinking this is a lifetime that you have to follow or a lifestyle that you have to follow.
Yeah, and the drill rappers have not been killing people as long as James Bond.
No,
and
he's been doing
made
it
a lot of money
for a long time.
In modern history, rock musicians have found themselves at the heart of controversies. From the swinging hips of Elvis to John Lennon famously comparing the Beatles to Jesus, musicians have landed in the spotlight and have been targeted by politicians and religious leaders. In recent times, vocal opponents have called for bans of heavy metal in the 1970s and rap in the 1990s. Jordan sees drill as the latest scapegoat.
Is it funny though, because I think that, I've got a son, and we clash over things. We have conversations and stuff. Is it weird being in a family where you have like this private disagreement, but it becomes really public?
Yeah. It's one of those things where you don't get used to it. Like you kind of got to watch what you say to your parents because you don't know what's going to happen at the end. But at the same time, you want to speak your heart and you want to be on the same page with them. We're all a team, me, my mom, my dad. And we're looking at it as if this is definitely something new for us. And it's not like we come from a history of politicians being in a position like this. So this is definitely like a new ride for us. But we're all supportive of each other. And so my dad is one of those people. He has very thick skin, and so we talk as gentlemen, and we understand there's disagreements, and then we move forward from it. We don't have any animosity or anything of that nature.
You've mentioned it now a couple of times. You're a voice actor, but I mean, you were like what, 11 years old? I mean, that's incredible. How did that come about? And how is it you had the confidence and ability to do that at such a young age?
For sure. Funny story, I started off modeling clothes for the Daily News, like back to school. And they used to say, oh, he's so adorable, get him into modeling and get him into like auditions and stuff. And then I get to the auditions and I get to my agent, Shirley Grant. And Shirley Grant herself, she said, well, he's not the best looking kid, but he can read pretty well. So I was like, all right, that's a start. That's a start. So I used to get gigs, and I used to dislike going to auditions because it was so many people in the room. I felt nervous. I didn't think I was gonna get it. I used to never get the call back. So I used to tell my mom, like, I don't really want to do this. I want to go to basketball practice. I want to go to baseball. So over time, like, just a feeling like denial and feeling like you're not going to get the role, the job, you get a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. And so my mom said to try out for this one last show. Well, before the one last show, I tried out for this show called Everybody Hates Chris to be the younger brother. And it was me and the actual person who played Everybody Hates Chris. And I go into the room, I do my thing, he goes into the room, he does his thing, and like 3 weeks later, I see him on the TV screen. So I'm like, all right, I'm done. And my mom is like, just try for this one last show. It's a cartoon. And I tried out for the show. I get a call back. And once I get the call back, my mom is buying every episode of this cartoon. And we're sitting here watching it hour after hour. She's like, look, this is how he speaks. You know what I'm saying? Like practicing, figuring out the game plan. It's like watching game film, So I became that person. And once I became it, it was more or less like me being confident, just like I'm doing the photo shoots, just like I'm doing the auditions. And it was a nationwide search, and they narrowed it down to me and another kid, and I was able to get it over the kid. And that kind of just jump-started my whole entertainment situation. And it was so funny because even when I was working with the Backyardigans, I wanted to go to basketball practice. I wanted to go to football practice, but like I didn't realize the magnitude of what I was doing. I didn't realize I was working with an Academy Award winning show. We won an Emmy, a daytime Emmy, one of the best TV shows, daytime TV shows. And so I was building up my resume at the same time as me trying to build up my childhood.
Well, I'm telling you what, the game plan's been fascinating so far. Can't wait to see where you are 5 or 10 years from now.
I can't wait.
Jordan, what a delight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.